1 second. 3 North, booth 3. Get in your seat. Stay seated. Everybody stay seated. Gentlemen, I don't know who you are, so 7 North, booth 3. Is that a stool or is there somebody in there? Is that a stool? So when I call your name, you need to wave at me so I'll know who you are, okay? You're all muted, so the only questions that'll be asked of you today is yes or no questions. Yes meaning thumbs up, no meaning thumbs down. That's it. You are on mute, so no one can hear you. Anything that you say, yes, no, that's it. So make sure you pay attention. I understand it may be medical call and time for food. However, if you get up and walk out of your booth and I call your name, you're going to be skipped over. So do not leave your booth. We'll get through this as quickly as possible. It's just like first appearance. The only thing we're going to address today is bond. All right, gentlemen, bond. So don't worry if I call your name. If I call the person's name, you're like, oh, they're outside. Don't worry about it. We'll skip over them. We'll come back. If somebody's waiting behind you, just let them come in after you. All right. If everybody can hear me, give me a thumbs up. All right, thank you, because some of these don't work. I appreciate it, gentlemen. We'll start with Joseph Blair. Thank you, sir. This is Ms. Kennebrew here?
Judge, it'll be my case. I'm Ms. Kennebrew today.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Kennebrew. All right, position 5, 23 CP 215152. Joseph Ivan Blair, 168 days without indictment. There's a $60,000 good bond as of February the 8th for reckless conduct, giving false information to law enforcement officer, and terroristic threats and acts. Pre-trial.
17 prior arrests in Georgia, 1 in Mississippi, 2 misdemeanors, prior aggravated ID fraud, 2 counts, forgery in the 4th, 2 counts, 2 FTAs, 2 misdemeanors, nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Blair, 160 days, 6 months almost, $60,000 bond, as the court has noted. Mr. Blair is 24, and he has lived in Georgia. He is asking for a UJR to hold since he can't afford any bond. Ms. Kennebrew has given me some notes. She wanted me to emphasize, Judge, that according to Ayala versus State, 262 Georgia 704, pretrial bond is not for punishment, but to secure appearance in court in person. And she wanted me to emphasize to the court that she would ask the court to consider Mr. Blair's financial resources as well. He has a good address in Roswell, Georgia. He's the father of 1 10-month-old, and he's expecting another child. He has his GED and completed and is attending Atlanta Technical College. And Judge, he was previously working at a dining establishment. So Judge, we'd ask the court to consider defense's request, and we'll defer to the court. Nothing further.
Mr. Cho, that's not going to be Old Dogwood Road, is it?
I'm going to say it appears to be the current most available address.
That's the incident location.
I figured as much when the court noted that. I will say, Your Honor, that Ms. Kennebrew has requested social work request and was also speaking with Pat about the program. She has extensive notes about a probable cause hearing. I don't have anything further on address at this moment, Judge.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, all. The state would request a $25,000 bond, stay away from the location, no contact with the victim, no drugs, no weapons.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with Georgette, Washington, Ashkanti, Mitchell, McDowell, ASCHANTI, Mitchell hyphen McDowell, MCDOWELL. I think I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell, Georgia. And you must supply an address where you're going to be living upon bonding out. 10,000, 5,000, and 10,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, Rashawn Mitchell. It says position 23 CP 216936 for Sean Lee Mitchell, 99 days without indictment, $25,000 good bond as of March the 15th for VGCSA purchase, possession, controlled substance, schedule 1 or 2. Pre-trial.
16 prior arrests, 2 misdemeanors, theft by deception, 2014, and FTA, felony ID theft, fraud, 25 count sentence in 2019. Nothing further.
Allegedly 86 grams of marijuana. Go ahead, Ms. Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor. As you see, my client's been in for over 90 days at this point. We would be asking for a UJR to the hold. From my reviewing of his booking, he has a Pike County VOP hold, and then he also has a Denton County hold. That is in Texas. It is an extraditable instance, which based on the underlying charge that's associated with it, which I'm not going to say publicly, but I can put it in the chat if Your Honor really would like to know. It is going to be something that he'll have to go handle. So we would be asking for that. He's 40 years old and born and raised in Georgia. He has lots of family here. He has an 8-year-old and a 21-year-old, and his fiance or girlfriend may be pregnant at the time. We just don't have confirmation of it. I've tried to make contact with her. He was employed doing construction for about 5 years. He is able to go back once that he gets all of these matters handled. He's gone to the 11th grade. So due to the fact that he does have those holds, he's been in for 90 something days, and it is above the misdemeanor amount, but it is simply just marijuana at this point. We would be asking for a UJR to the hold. Can't make the $25,000 good bond, and he has more serious matters to deal with in Texas.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
We don't object to that, Your Honor. Can we do a UJR to the hold with an ankle monitor?
Sure.
We would not
Okay.
object to that.
All right,
Perfect.
let's see. So he'll just have to put it, he's got 48 hours to have it placed on his ankle once he gets released. So what I'll do is 10,000 or UJR to the hold, Miss Eustace, in case, obviously they won't come and get him. 10,000 or UJR to the hold. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 532 Cleveland Avenue. Going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You'll have 48 hours, sir, to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle once you're released from those holds. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
And Your Honor, just for clarification, it is going to say to a hold, not one of the two specific. That way, whoever comes to get him, correct?
Okay, yeah, to a hold, Ms. Tracy.
Thank you. I just did not want that holding him up if it's one versus another.
All right, let's
Or
see.
UJR to the whole.
Yeah, a hold. I think there's 2. I don't know if one may not come get him, but one may.
I believe
Okay.
both are interested in coming to get him after I've spoken with them. So it's just a matter of who's coming first, Your Honor.
All right, so Michaela Lopez. All right. This is position 22, Bostic 23, CP 216742, 107 days without indictment. As of March the 6th, there's a $15,000 good bond, willful obstruction, felony, DUI, less safe, and
Waiting sounding judge.
and that other misdemeanor charge. Pre-trial.
1 prior arrest in Georgia, 7 in Maryland, and 1 in DC. Battery in 96. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Correa.
Thank you, Your Honor. The address we have on file for Ms. Lopez is a good address for her. That's where she's lived for the last 7 years. It's her, a roommate, and some pets. She also has one of her daughters and some of her grandchildren are also here in Georgia, Your Honor, just in terms of ties to our community. But she has lived in Georgia for an extensive amount of time, those her criminal history notwithstanding. When she was first arrested, she was working as an electrical technician for a company that makes airplanes and fighter jets. It's called Argonne. She's had that job for approximately 6 months. Before that, she was working at a different company in a similar capacity that made electronic casino machines. She has been working through it, or she has found her employment through the same agency for the last 5 to 6 years. At this time, Your Honor, Ms. Lopez is now med compliant. We are looking forward to having her preliminary hearing, but at this time, this bond does exceed her current financial ability. As noted, she's been in custody for 107 days. So that is 107 days she has gone without any way to make any kind of income for herself. So we're asking the court to consider a reduction in this case. I'm asking Your Honor to consider a reduction to $5,000. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Given everything that we've heard, the state position is that the current bond amount is fair and reasonable, and ask Your Honor to leave it the same. Thank you.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Officer Golden, Golden, unless in his official capacity. No further violent contact with any other law enforcement officer. Let's see, 5,000, 3,000, and 3,000. 5,000, 3,000, 3,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Ma'am, sorry, ma'am. I meant ma'am. Sorry. Courtney Whitehead. All right, 19, Ms. Eustace. 23, CP 216924. Courtney Whitehead, 99 days without indictment. As of March the 5th, there is a March 15th, there's a $4,500 good bond on VGCSA, possession of methamphetamine, possession of controlled substance in Schedule 3, 4, or 5, giving false information to a law enforcement officer. Pre-trial.
Judge, in regards to Whitehead, 13 prior arrests, 4 arrests for probation violations, 4 felonies, currently on probation for meth, sentenced in 2018 out of Coweta, and a theft by receiving stolen property in 2018. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 31 years old. She does have a hold in Coweta County, which is that probation violation. Her bond is reasonable, but for that she has a hold and cannot afford to pay it. We were hoping to submit her to the bail project, but unfortunately the hold again is imposing an inability to do that. I have contacted Coweta. They are interested in getting her. She's been from day one wanting to go there. She actually is a lifelong Georgia resident. The address that's on her file, she's been living at for 5 years, about over 5 years at this point. She is actually wanting to participate in the New Beginnings program. Once that she handles that Coweta matter, there are classes every day. She was on medications and has a counselor that will continue working with her should she be allowed to go back there. It is 2 consecutive cases that she's on the probation for in Coweta County. So they do have something to handle. Again, this is drug charges, and she is willing to get back into a program and continue working her program to avoid situations like this. She just needs to get a second chance in order to be able to handle that hold and be released. So we would be asking for a UJR to the hold so that she can continue her treatment. She is also a trustee, I believe, for the past close to 2 months. She has gotten trustee status, showing that she's a low offender with not a lot of risks at the jail as well.
All right, and she's going to live in Whitesburg, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is the address.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
It does sound like the matter is resolvable, and like she wants to resolve it. Unfortunately, I can't agree to a UJR to the hold, unfortunately, because she was on probation for the exact same offense. Maybe Coweta County could come and borrow her and resolve the matter there. Then she can come back and the case could be resolved easily here. But I can't agree to a UJR to the hold, unfortunately.
Yeah, we would be asking for similar to the last, where it could be a UJR with an ankle monitor. That way we can keep track of her. I've tried to contact Coweta, Mr. Malcolm, to kind of see if they would do a loan out, but
Right.
with the jail being crowded and the transport, it's just they won't come get her until her matter is resolved here. Seems to be.
Hmm.
All right, everybody, gentlemen, sit up straight. No leaning against the wall. Sit up. Everybody sit up straight. I've only been out of court 10 minutes. If I can sit up straight, you guys can too, please. All right, let's see. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1105 Holcomb Bridge Road in Roswell, Georgia. Is there any bond that she can make at all? It was just, I think if they used their decimals right, Ms. Eustace, I think it was only 0.6 of a gram.
It is, Your Honor, and there was somebody else in the vehicle as well, so it's an equal access situation that I think if this were to get indicted could be handled, but the holdup is she's been sitting in there now for over 3 months, has no income coming in, and just has the inability to post a bond right now.
That is a very small amount.
Yeah. All right, I'll go ahead. I'll do, let's see, 1,000, 1,000 and 250. Or a UJR to the hold. in case they don't come pick her up. UJR to the hold, but you'll have, stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. And you'll have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, participation in a program, and also basic life necessities. If you get a job, ma'am, you have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. You'll have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. If you do not, that's a violation of your bond condition. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Your Honor, just for clarification, that is 2250 good bond total or a UJR to the hold. Is that correct?
2,250.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I
Or
just
a UJR to that hold, right?
wanted Ms. Whitehead to understand that if they come and get you, you won't have to post a bond. You'll be released from Coweta. Okay. All right.
But then you have to come back and get the ankle monitor. Is that all of the females?
Judge, you have another one, Stevie Carpenter.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Oh, there it is. All right. Stevie Carpenter. Thank you. All right, 21. It's 22 CP 208153. 439 days without indictment. There's a $5,000 good bond as of April the 9th. Criminal damage to property is second degree. Pre-trial.
11 prior arrests in Mississippi, 1 misdemeanor, disorderly conduct, intoxication, or controlled substance in 28.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Collins.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge. Miss Carpenter, she has been in custody now for over a year. She's now 42 years old, soon to be 43 in July. She's a high school graduate. She's a mother of 3 children, 2 adults and 1 minor. She has been in Georgia now for 2 years. She is on a fixed income, so she's receiving disability benefits, Your Honor. So there's not much of a bond that she can afford. As I've stated, she's been in now for over a year without having any income. So even though this is a bit of a low bond, it's unreasonable for her due to the lack of financial resources that she has. And so that is our reasoning for asking for a reduction. We haven't been able to go through the bonding project because I haven't been able to verify her address yet. She did indicate that she could reside at a 1201 Landingsburg Drive. I haven't been able to verify that address in all candor to the court. And that's why we have not been able to run this through the Bell project. But I would note that Ms. Carpenter is dealing with some underlying MH issues. She is med compliant. We do have our social service team involved, and we are exploring program options and housing for her, but we haven't had anything come through yet. Ms. Carpenter is wanting to ask the court to consider a UJR for her today, given the amount of time that she has been in custody without any movement on this case, without a prelim. And so that'll be our request today, Your Honor.
I think I've put her name in there a couple of times in my email.
Okay, thank you.
I think I'll do it one more time. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
All right. And so, Ms. Collins, you're asking for a UJR without a place for her to go at the moment?
Yeah, that is what Ms. Carpenter would like to request from the court.
Yeah, that's concerning because there's not going to be any way for the court to send her notice to come to court when the case is indicted. So we'd ask for a $1,000 bond, and hopefully your folks can work on getting her an address to go to where notice could be sent.
Well, she says she has an address. I have not been able to
You've
verify
not been
it.
able to verify it. Yeah. I think she just needs some address where we can verify where she can receive notice herself, or somebody can that she knows will convey the message to her that she's got court. So she's not a bench warrant.
All right, Ms. Carpenter,
I
you're
was gonna have my lawyer take care of the court,
gonna.
but I got out.
Okay, Ms. Carpenter, as your attorney, I would advise you, if it's not going to be about bond, because I know you want to speak, I just would, advise you quickly that you don't want to go into any details regarding the allegations in this case. We just want to, protect your right to your constitutional rights. So I'm just going to advise you to not go into any facts of the case, but if you have any questions regarding, your bond or anything in your criminal history and things of that nature, just ask them in a manner where you refrain from going into details about the allegations, okay?
Go ahead, ma'am. Oh, she's back on mute, Milton. Milton, she's muted again. Milton. Oh, here's don't slip and fall, Milton.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can I get into a Salvation Army program, which will have an address for as long as it'll be till I go to court? You can send the paperwork to the Salvation Army address.
Ms. Carpenter.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be out to see you and we'll talk more about these options, okay?
Okay, well, I would like to get the signature bond.
Okay. Thank you.
And Your
ma'am.
Honor, we would even consent to a UJR2 program.
If she was in one.
Right, when Ms. Collins is able to confirm a program for Ms. Carpenter so that she doesn't have to wait to come back up for another court hearing, and with a $1,000 bond in the alternative if that doesn't work out, because the length of time she spent in, given the allegations of the charges, it's a long time.
All right.
So we just need her to be in a program, be accepted.
So, Ms. Collins, if you get her into a program, send it, and obviously he'll consent to it. Right now, what do we do? No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1309 Piedmont Circle. No further contact with Jacob. I'll spell the last name, Avihasira. And what we'll do is $1,000 at 10%. How about that?
Okay.
Maybe that'll help. $1,000 bond at 10%. You got that, Miss Tracy?
I have it.
All right. Thank you, Miss Tracy. Best of luck to you, ma'am. Oh, and you must supply an address where you'll be living. Thank you, Milton. Let's see. Now I got to go to, what about Rodney Ivy?
Judge, he was released to a program on today.
Oh, was he? Okay. All right. So do we have Curtis Mallory? Is that in courtroom 2? I know they sent a message about turn it on.
It said Marietta. It says on the pool sheet Marietta Annex. So I'm not sure if he's located in courtroom 2. But I can follow up with Lieutenant Coughlin just to see if he's still located in Marietta Annex.
All right, well, let's see. Let me go on down here. What about? Let's see. Let me. Sorry, I have them all in order now, the way you had it. So Ivy's released. Curtis. Jalen Parson. All right, thank you, sir. Let me get it right here. All right, this is position 23, Bostic 23, CP 216760. 108 days without indictment. There's a $16,000 good bond as of March the 3rd. On removal or falsification of motor vehicle or engine identification number with intent to defraud. Entering an auto or motor vehicle with intent to commit a theft or a felony, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, possession of vehicle with altered VIN, and loitering and prowling. Pre-trial.
This is his only prior Georgia arrest, 4 in North Carolina. There's a probation violation holding Sandy Springs on a misdemeanor, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Correa.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have updated Mr. Parsons' address in Odyssey. That is an address that I have verified with Mr. Parsons' family. It is here in the Metro Atlanta area. Mr. Parson is originally from North Carolina, which is why we do see some cycles there. But again, those cycles are minimal. He's only got 4 cycles there. He moved down here with his girlfriend, and that's whose address that you'd see reflected in Odyssey. But I have also been in contact not only with her, but with Mr. Parson's brother. Mr. Parson is 26 years old. He is a high school graduate. He attended West Point in New York, for preparatory school, and has also attended UNC Charlotte. At the time of this arrest, he had been working with Mavis Tires and Brakes as a mechanic for a couple of years. I understand that some of these charges are prohibited by statute, but given that he has this hold for a misdemeanor charge, I'm asking your honor to UJR what is possible and a $1,000 bond on what is not possible. Thank you, your honor.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
We'd ask for a $10,000 good bond on him. It's highly likely that Sandy Springs will revoke whatever balance is left, based on my experience.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 5675 Roswell Road. And is that address an Atlanta address, Ms. Correa?
Allow me to double check, your honor.
Sorry, I was trying to pull it up, but it's spinning. I think,
Yeah,
Odyssey.
Odyssey does what Odyssey wants to do.
I think it's a little tired of me today.
Yes, your honor, that address is on Moreland Avenue 30307.
Okay. No further contact with Jeremiah, last name Colon. So we'll do 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 250, and 250. 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Wait, I'm sorry. 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. UJR jail, and then 250 on count 5. Got that, Miss Tracy?
Got it.
Thank you. Best of luck to you, sir. What about Raheem Peak?
Judge Milton reports that he's at ACDC, so when she brings back the mails, he'll be there instead of listed where he's listed on the pull sheet.
Okay. Raheem Peak? Nope. So, that's ACDC?
Right, Milton said he's in ACDC, and when she comes back with the mails, he'll be in that group.
All right. What about Effie Isabor? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Thank you, sir. Position 9, Bostic 23 CP 216791, 107 days of that indictment, $10,000 good bond as of March the 7th. Criminal damage to property, second degree theft by shoplifting.
Only prior arrest is the open criminal trespass 22 CR 003702F. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Judge. Based on the lack of criminal history, Judge, minus what Officer Bostic has stated, I would suggest that Mr. Isabor is a good candidate for bond. It is currently at $10,000. He is not able to make that bond. And so, Judge, we are requesting a reduction. These are acknowledging that they're felonies, Judge. These are non-violent charges. And based on Mr. Isabor's lack of history, we would respectfully suggest that his stint in jail is sufficient based on the allegations within the warrant. The total value of items was $37.50. The damage for the criminal damage it appears to be substantively more. We'll acknowledge that and wait for the receipt of or proof of that value sometime in the future. But Mr. Isabor has a good address on file. His father would reside with him at that address, or he would reside with his father at that address. And so, Judge, we are asking the court to consider substantive reduction in this case. It's second degree criminal damage and then shoplifting. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. Is Mr. Cho requesting a $5,000 bond?
Deputy Malcolm, if you're so inclined, we'd request a UJR. If you're not inclined, we would ask for as low as possible. I will say this, that he was previously working at Home Depot. And so if this is a case that requires restitution in the future, I think the best way to resolve this case is for Mr. Isabor to be gainfully working so that he can accrue the funds to resolve any debt he may have in the future.
Understood. Normally, we would agree to a UJR, but for the open criminal trespass, so we would agree to $4,000 bond in this case.
Okay. 2,000 count one, 2,000 count two. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Walmart stores. Stay away from 844 Cleveland Avenue in East Point. 2,000 count one, 2,000 count two. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Deputy Malcolm.
Thank you. You can leave the booth, sir. Well, Anthony Stevens. All right, it's number one, Bostic. This may be on one of the add-ons, but it's Anthony Stevens. 23 CP 216858, 183 days without indictment. There is a $30,000 good bond as of March the 11th. Theft by taking, felony, theft by receiving stolen property, misdemeanor, criminal trespass, damage to property, theft by taking, misdemeanor, willful obstruction. Pre-trial.
22 prior arrests, currently on probation for robbery, 21 SC 179057. 2 years confinement, 13 years probation, 5 felonies, a prior old armed robbery. Also on probation for an old robbery, 11 SC 104661, but sentenced in sentenced in 2011, a 20-year sentence, 2 misdemeanors, 1 being a battery in 2014. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Stevens is 58 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia resident and made it to the 10th grade. His current bond is unattainable for him. However, I believe that he has been accepted into an accountability court. We just haven't heard back from the assistant district attorney over that accountability court. But I did submit all those documentations. He does have both MH and substance abuse issues, does need help. And so at this time, we're asking for a bond that doesn't exceed $5,000 so that we'll be able to get him into some kind of program, even if the accountability court doesn't work out.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Unfortunately, being on probation for 2 robberies at the time of these offenses, we're not able to consent to a lower bond and ask that it remain the same at $30K. Thanks. Thank you.
All right. All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Must supply an address where you'll be living before you're released. You'll have an income monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. No further contact with Robert Gray, Gray, and Jerry's last name Kuhlman. And no further contact with Uzo, last name Okafor. Stay away from 94 Howell Street, 378 Irwin Street, and 27 Cornelia Street. All right, we'll do 8,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, and 4,000. 8,000, 4,000, 4,000, and 4,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lay the booth. Let's see, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Sorry there, Mr. Cho. Nataratar Harrison. Thank you, sir. All right, this is 23 CP 215274, 165 days without indictment. There's a $130,000 good bond as of April the 25th. Willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer felony. Aggravated assault against a law enforcement officer while engaged in official duty. Possession of a knife or a firearm during commission of certain felonies. Possession of a sawed-off shotgun. Possession of firearm by a convicted felon and reckless conduct. Pre-trial.
7 prior adult arrests, 1 misdemeanor, currently on probation in DeKalb. Entering auto 2 counts. Possession of tools, Schedule 2 substance, sentence 8/5/19, 6 months for confinement, 4 years, 6 months probation. Open case 22 CP 212379, firearm by convicted felon. 22 CP 212380, theft by taking. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Harrison, Your Honor. As the court has noted, it is a 6-figure bond at this time, and Mr. Harrison is 23 years old. To be candid, I am not 23 and I would not be able to make that bond. Mr. Harrison is residing in Atlanta, Georgia. He lives with his mother and sister, and he's a father of a 4-year-old who he has sole custody of. He has ties to community, having lived in Georgia for the last 5 years, and previous to his detainment was working as an artist, making money on commission. We acknowledge the serious allegations in this case, and we would just emphasize that Mr. Harrison denies the allegations entirely. I will note that I think the other history that I heard was entering automobiles, so that is at least not as similar to the charges before the court today. The court's inclined, Judge. He's not going to be able to afford any bond per Ms. Kennebrew, but we would ask the court to consider 50,000, nothing further.
All right, everybody, unless you're getting meds, keep your seat. 5 South, booth 3. Stop playing with your hair. Thank you, sir. If you're getting meds, step out there, get your meds, but come right back in. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Your Honor, in all good conscience, I cannot agree to a lower bond. There's a bond surrender here. These are really serious charges. He's got an open charge. I believe I heard possession of gun by a convicted felon, and then these charges here. So the state is not consenting to a lower bond and asks that it remain the same.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'm going to add some, looks like somebody else didn't put any conditions. I'm going to add some conditions, so I'll modify it just a little bit. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Stay away from 1287 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. No further contact with Officer Kiran, last name Kimbrough, or Officer D as in David, not sure what it is, just the first initial D, Williams, unless it's in their official capacity. You're going to have that, okay, ankle monitor and basic life necessities too, Miss Tracy. 24,000, 24,000, 24,000, 24,000, 24,000, and 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, Derek Lovett. All right, number 11, Bostic, 23 CP 215333, 162 days without indictment. There's a $15,000 good bond as of March the 13th. VGCSA, possession of methamphetamine, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer ×2 misdemeanors, and theft by shoplifting misdemeanor. Pre-trial.
Oh, sorry, talking, it was done. 13 prior arrests, 5 misdemeanors, 2 arrests for probation violation, 1 felony, false imprisonment in 2012. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead. Mr.
Yes,
Rhodes.
Judge. Mr. Lovett has been in jail now 162 days. One of his charges, the only felony here, still has no bond. I filed a bond motion back in April, and it takes time for him to be scheduled. Just saying, Judge, he's been in well over the 90-day limit without bond, and he is statutorily required to have a bond set on that additional charge. Mr. Lovett is from Georgia. He can reside at the address on file. That is his uncle's residence. He'd been living there for the past year and a half, up until his arrest. He had been working loosely through washing cars. He'd been doing that for about 2 years as well. Judge, we are asking for bond to be set at this stage, of course, considering Mr. Lovett's indigency. He is not able to afford much anything for bond. We would just ask, Judge, for a target total of $5,000, so maybe $3,500 on the possession charge and $500 on each of the misdemeanors. I would also note, Judge, that he does have a hold out of East Point. I don't know the status of that hold or whether East Point would, pick him up in some way. With that in mind, Judge, I would additionally ask perhaps if the court would be inclined to consider it a UJR to the hold. And then in the alternative, the bond amounts that I mentioned.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. The state will ask for a $16,000 bond, $5,000 on the 3 felonies, $1,000 on the misdemeanor shoplifting.
Okay. So 5,000,
Judge,
yes, sir, okay, uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I would just clarify the
Think that-
obstruction charges are misdemeanors. So it's
Yeah, I think they're misdemeanors.
Oh, they're misdemeanors. Okay, apologies. So
And
16,000, 5 each on the misdemeanor, 1 on the shoplifting, and 5 on the methamphetamine.
All right, that's 5, 5, 5, and 1. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 6110 Peachtree Dunwoody Road. No further contact with Noah Sanders. Stay away from all home 2 suites. Best of luck to you, sir. Let's see, who is this in courtroom 2, Miss Travoya? Do you know? What's your name, sir?
Mallory,
Courtroom-
Mr. Mallory.
That should be Mallory, Judge.
Okay, let me see.
That's position 16.
All right, let me stick through here. All right, Curtis Mallory. Miss Rosenhoover. So then we also have Mr. Kendrick Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Curtis Mallory, position 16, 22 CP 214240. 208 days without indictment. There's a $16,000 good bond as of March the 14th on willful obstruction felony, simple battery, and willful obstruction misdemeanor. Pre-trial.
In regards to Mr. Mallory, 2 felonies that are old, one from the 90s, one in 2012, sale of cocaine, 5 misdemeanors, more than that. Simple battery in 2012, simple battery 2013, battery in 2021, another simple battery in 2022, asthma frock, Farrukh. And then there's a battery substantial visible harm in 2021, Horace Williams, 2 FTAs, 03 and 04 in the battery, a probation violation. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Miss Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Mallory is 59 years old. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. He does have family that stay here in Forest Park. He is residentially challenged, and we have been working with a social worker to try to get him in somewhere. He's a high school graduate. Most recently for work, he was painting and doing other yard work. At this time, he is unable to make much of any bond at all, and he's been in 208 days, so we would ask for a reduction to $5,000. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let's see. We would agree to lower the felony obstruction to 5, the simple battery 2, and the misdemeanor obstruction 2. So that's 9.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1192 Pryor Road Southwest. Must apply address to jail staff and the clerk upon release. No further contact with Atlanta Fire Captain Richard Lagatta, Lagatta, and Officer William Gover, Gover, and Officer Cleveland Smith of Atlanta Police Department, unless it's in their official capacity. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. 5,000, 2,000, and 2,000. Best of luck to you, sir. And I put this in my email. All right, Kendrick Wilson. All right, Ms. Bray. There's Ms. Bray. All right, position 26, Ms. Bray, 23 CP 217160. 90 days without indictment. Burglary in the 2nd degree, criminal damage of property 2nd degree, theft by taking misdemeanor, possession of drug-related objects. There is a $1,250 split bond with no bond on the burglary and the criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree. Pre-trial.
12 prior arrests, open case 22 CP 217160, burglary in the 2nd, criminal damage to property, theft by taking drug-related objects. Probation 13 SC 11636, burglary, sentence 2013. Didn't write the whole sentence. And then 18 SC 158829, burglary, sentence in 2018 for 6 years. Nothing further.
Right. Go ahead, Ms. Bray.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kendrick Williams is 51 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia native. All of his family is here in the greater Atlanta area. He has a good address, 2049 Kimberly Road, Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. He lives there with his niece. He has no children. He did make it to the 12th grade. He did not graduate. And for the last 30 years, his work has primarily been detailing cars, which is something he can go back to doing, Your Honor. Friday or Saturday will make 90 days that he's been in, and he has no bond on the burglary or the criminal damage. In the second, I'm asking for 5 and 5 on both of those, which would bring his total bond to $1,250.
I show us today is the actual 90th day.
Today may be. Wait, maybe I calculated it wrong.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, today's the 90th day, according to Odyssey. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you. Given what we heard from Officer Bostic, Mr. Wilson having an open burglary in the second-degree case and being on probation for not one but 2 burglaries, we would request a higher bond on the burglary, which would be $30,000 on the burglary, $10,000 on the criminal damage, and then the $1,250 that already he has on the others.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 160 Ted Turner Drive. Stay away from all Circle K stores. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And also basic life necessities. 20,000, 10,000, 1,000, and UJR jail. 20,000, 10,000, 1,000, UJR jail. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, now let's see. Milton, do we have Raheem Peak?
I just have, yes, Your Honor, I have him over here, but
Okay.
I have an announcement.
Okay.
Vance Fennell, he refused.
Vance Fennell. Mr. Cho. It's Mr. Fennell, position 7, Vance Fennell, 23 CP 215270. He's been in 165 days. He has no bond, but she says he's refused to come.
Your Honor, just for the court's knowledge, there is a pending motion that's ex parte. So I think we were going to ask for it to be reset regardless.
Okay. Did
if
you
the
send me,
court-
does anybody sent me the order?
I believe Ms. Kenderbrew says it's filed.
Oh, okay. Okay. The order's been filed. They're just waiting on the exam. Okay.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay. Well, reminder if she hasn't sent it to me, send it to me and I'll get it signed. Okay. So
Absolutely.
we'll reset that 60 days or so, I guess, 90.
I'm going to say 60 just out of an abundance of caution, please.
Judge, I heard you and I'll have it reset.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, let's see. What about Raheem Peak? All right, Mr. Peak, this is position 24, 23 CP 215511. Raheem Paul Peak, 155 days without indictment, no bond as of January the 18th on theft by shoplifting felony. Pre-trial.
In regards to Peak, 18 prior arrests, open case, 22 CP 208563, theft by shoplifting, 2 counts. 1 arrest for probation violation, at least 5 misdemeanors. 4 for theft by shoplifting. And Rockdale is on probation. I think 4 theft by shoplifting. Sentence 8/11/2022. 2 FTAs, 18 and 22. 1 arrest for probation violation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, as you said, has been in custody with us for 155 days. However, he came here straight from DeKalb County where he had done 7 days as well. The warrant that we have was put on him in DeKalb County as well. So it's been continuous custody since I believe June of last year. He's right at almost a year at this point. My client is 41 years old, has turned 41 while in custody. He's a high school grad with some college. He has 2 kids and actually was doing some security work before he was arrested. He does anticipate being able to get that job back, but more importantly to him, Since my first time meeting Mr. Peak, he was actually in trustee status very early on. I met with him at the Marietta Annex and he indicated that he wanted a rehabilitation program. My social workers worked very hard. We have him accepted into both PAD and the 18-month Better Way Ministries program. The only holdup, and you'll hear me say this is a broken record, is his hold out in Gwinnett County right now. It is a traffic court and a violation of probation. After following up with him, they will be wanting him. He has quite a bit of exposure left on that case. So we would be asking for a UJR to the hold, being able to clear that up. That way he can get to his programs. They are able to hold a spot for him at both PAD and Better Way Ministries until that Gwinnett hold is handled. This is for allegedly $600 or so. Again, he's been in for almost a year now. So that would be our request. He's been very candid with me about his addiction problem and wanting to get the help that he needs. This has actually put it all into perspective that he's been in custody now for almost a year. And we think that the 18-month Better Way Ministries program will get him back on his feet and give him that extensive help that he needs to overcome this disease, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Do we need to specify the program that he would be released to, or just say UJR to the hold? How would we do that?
My request, if Your Honor is inclined to grant it, and the state would be as well, would be a UJR to the hold with the special condition that he go to PAD or Better Way Ministries upon his release. Just because I'm not sure which one. PAD would be able to get him quickly, but Better Way Ministries has that 18-month program. So I'd like to have both options to be able to work in conjunction with each other. If Your Honor would like to impose an ankle monitor within 48 hours of being released, Mr. Peak was aware that that might be a condition as well. And again, he's very much wanting to get to these programs to get himself better.
Your Honor, we would consent to that along with the ankle monitor, and whichever program is more likely to help him stop shoplifting and help with the issues, and in the alternative, a $5,000 bond.
All right. So we've got $5,000 good bond or UJR to the hold with a condition that he enters into one of the programs, PAD or Better Way Ministries. Miss Tracy, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. I'd put stay out of Fulton County, but I guess both of those programs are in Fulton County, aren't they?
They are, yes, Your Honor. PAD at least is. Better Way Ministries has multiple locations, but he would need to come to Fulton County for PAD, and that's the one that really will be able to give that double treatment plan for him that he's looking for.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Home Depots. Stay away from 3885 Jonesboro Road. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and participation in a program. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. And Mr. Peak, it is one of your bond conditions that you enter and complete Better Way Ministries or the PAD program. You have to participate in that. So it'd be $5,000 or UJR to that hold. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Mr. Peak, that's a signature bond. If the hold comes and gets you, if they release the hold, then we'll have to go through a bonding company for that amount. But I'll come see you and talk to you about it in person tomorrow, okay? All right, Mr. Peak.
All right, Robert William. This is position 2, Bostic 22 CP 213658, 231 days without indictment. There's a $12,500 good bond as of March the 14th. Burglary in the first degree, willful obstruction, criminal trespass, public indecency. First or second conviction. Pre-trial.
1 arrest in Alabama, 6 in Florida of prior fraud, of battery on law enforcement, and 21 and disorderly intoxication. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's Mr. Williams is 41. We are working on an address, but he's a lifelong resident of the Georgia area. Ms. Kennebrew has gotten Mr. William accepted into PAD, and we're also waiting on an accountability court acceptance. She is requesting the court consider a $4,000 bond in this case. We acknowledge the charges here, and we would just emphasize to the court that it has been some time, and well, Judge, I'll just say it like this. While there is some history, it does not appear to be that Mr. William is a serial burglar. And hopefully the programs that Ms. Kenneru has lined up will get him a good start back on his feet. He has ties to the community, including his mother, and was working as a maintenance man at a local church previously. This is a situation where he does suffer from non-visible health issues, which I think may be a factor as well as to why Ms. Kenneru chose a program. We'd ask the court to consider defense's request, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
State would consent to an $11,000 bond. Not much of a decrease, but they're serious allegations.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer. Stay away from 159 5th Street in Northwest in Atlanta and 76 4th Street Northeast in Atlanta. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property. Previously, I put stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer. You must keep your clothes on when you're in public and provide an address where you're going to be living to jail staff and the clerk upon release. Got 6,000, 1,000, 500, and 1,000. 6,000, 1,500, and 1,000. Best of luck to you, sir. Archie Thomas. 13, Bostic, 23, CP 217116, 92 days without indictment. There is a $5,000 split bond with possession of drug-related objects or UJR through the jail, $5,000 on possession of cocaine. Pre-trial.
One felony, criminal attempted felony in 2015, nothing further.
All right, go ahead. Mr. Rhodes, sorry.
Yes, yes, Judge. I'll start with the elephant in the room, the big obstacle. Mr. Thomas does not have housing at the moment. He is homeless. He is 67 years old and has been living in Atlanta still for about 2 to 3 years, though he is originally from the U.S. Virgin Islands. He has one adult child, went through the 9th grade, is not currently working. He does have other family. I have spoken with his brother, who lives in New York. He was telling me as well that he's unaware of any housing that Mr. Thomas in front of you would have should he be released. Still, Judge, this is, as you can tell, a simple possession charge. Reading the warrants, he was essentially just found with a pipe with some residue of maybe one hit of crack cocaine in there. Meanwhile, Mr. Thomas has been sitting in jail, unable to afford any bond at all, considering his circumstances, at 67 years old for 92 days in what is notoriously one of the more overcrowded and most underkept jails in the area. Judge, all I can ask for Mr. Thomas is a UJR for the possession charge, as well as the possession of drug-related objects and possession of cocaine. That's all. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you, Your Honor. We don't object to a UJR, but there does need to be an address where he can receive court notice. Otherwise, it's just a bench warrant waiting to happen. Mr. Rhodes, is there somebody that can get word to him if there's court notice sent?
I spoke with his brother about the same thing, to be candid. Mr. Thomas does not have a phone number. So, should he be released, and even if his brother got mail notices, they wouldn't have a way to proactively get in touch with him as well.
Mr. Thomas, you need to go across the street from the courthouse when you get out to Our Lady of Immaculate Conception. I forget which day of the week, Mr. Rhodes, or which day of the month, but they give away phones in the equipment at least once a month. I need to call over there and find out which day of the month it is, but they do give away cell phones, Mr. Thomas, with the charger and everything, so you can at least get a cell phone. All right, how about we do a 1,000 in UJR? You think you can get him in pad, Mr. Nelson? Mr. Rhodes? I always want to call you that.
Understandable. I'll reach out to Pat again about it. It may be possible to get him in.
Okay, so, and then if you do, send an email to Mr. Malkin. So then I think we can probably do it all to UJR to there. You know what you think, Mr. Malkin?
Sure.
So we'll do 1,000 on the cocaine, UJR on the possession of drug-related objects, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 902 Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway. Must supply address upon release. Best of luck to you, sir. DeAndre Way.
Judge, may I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good day. All right, let's see. 23 CP 215878. DeAndre Way. This is 141 days without indictment, entering auto with intent to commit a theft or a felony, entering auto with intent to commit a theft or a felony, entering auto with intent to commit a theft or a felony, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, theft by taking misdemeanor, and theft by taking. Right now, excuse me, there is a $3,000 split bond. Trial.
16 prior arrests, took first offender on burglary in 05, felony and forgery in the first. 2014, 6 counts of entering auto. 2014 counts of entering auto, 2 arrests for probation violation, 1 parole violation, 1 FTA in 2015. Nothing further.
And Ms. Eustace, I think that the theft by receiving stolen property misdemeanor was dismissed. Am I correct?
That is my understanding, Your Honor. I noticed it on the calendar, but when I was looking in Odyssey, I do not see that that is what is holding him in. My recollection is that that charge was dismissed.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor. As you see, my client is significantly past his 90th day. His 90th day was on May 2nd, I believe, and I filed an emergency motion to go ahead and be able to have him heard today. My client is 35 years old and has 4 children, ages 5 to 17 is the range. The 17-year-old actually lives with him, his son. He has been employed as an electrician for about 5 to 6 years and also was working at the Amazon warehouse for about a year prior to his arrest. He is under the impression that he will be able to go back to both jobs once that he is released. The address on his booking screen is correct. It's where he lives with his mother, his sister, and again, that 17-year-old son. So he does have significant ties to the community. I know Bostic goes quick. I did not hear any FTAs. So if I'm wrong, please correct me, but that was not my understanding, or at least it was old if it was. To be completely candid with the court, since I met with Mr. Way, he has been adamant about wanting to get a program as well, needing help, but my social worker has been overwhelmed and not able to go get to him. And then my social worker today was her last day. So my office is a little short-staffed and unable to go see him to get him placed into a program at this time. But he does have stable housing and he will be in contact with me upon his release. He said even when he gets out, if he could contact me for either inpatient or outpatient so that he's not having to wait there and be away from his children. We would be asking for a reasonable bond to be set. On the current $1,500 bonds that were given on the 2 misdemeanors, we would be asking for a UJR on those. On the entering autos, we would be asking for 1,000 on each. And then for the firearm by a convicted felon, we'd be asking for 2,500. Good bond. We do understand that these charges are serious, but again, my client has been in custody for a significant amount of time. And he does or should be released in order to be able to keep being in the lives of his children. He does not have a flight risk or anything like that, and he will show up to court, Your Honor.
Everybody sit up straight. 4 North, booth 3. Sit up. Sit up straight, everybody. Please, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Wade does pose a significant risk of committing new crimes and a danger to the community, which was found by the judge who denied bond, or most likely as the reasons why bond was denied. These are significant offenses, and Ms. Bostic does go fast. I thought I did hear some FTAs though, but she can correct us and let us know. And because I know Ms. Eustace did not hear them, but we did hear that he had 6 counts of entering auto previously, and there was another case with more entering auto charges. First offender for burglary, forgery in the first degree. So there are significant priors and significant reasons to impose a high bond, the state would ask for, on each of the charges with no bond currently, a $15,000 bond for a total of 60, plus leaving the two 1500s the same for a total of 63,000.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 371 East Paces Ferry Road. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be living. Also basic life necessities. No further contact with Ruth Velasquez, Velasquez, Deborah, Sally, Salley, Kevin, last name Solarski, Ruger, Vvaquero, and Ward, Ward, Wright, Wright. That, like I said, that ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. 15,000, 15,000, 15,000. 15,000, 1,000, 1,000, and 15,000. But wait a minute. Sorry. Scratch that last one because that one was dismissed. 15, 15, 15, 15, 1, and 1. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lay the booth. All right. Tavarius Brady. All right. This is 18. 22 CP 214173. 210 days without indictment. There's a $14,000 good bond as of 3/7. Possession, manufacture, distribution, sale of marijuana, possession of Schedule 4 controlled substance, possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance ×3, and also battery. Pre-trial.
9 prior arrests, 1 misdemeanor. First offender for aggravated assault in 2019. 2 arrests for probation violation, 1 FTA in 21.
Thank you, Ms. Foster.
Bostic, you're so kind. Y'all are gonna miss me Thursday night. I won't be here. Somebody else will be here. But see, y'all will miss me come Thursday. Go ahead.
Thank you, Bostic. I caught all of that. Thank you. My client is 33 years old, Your Honor. He is a high school grad and works at FedEx as a truckload driver for about 2 to 3 months before he was arrested on this. He has 1 6-year-old child and is a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. The address on the booking screen is the correct address. We would be asking for a reasonable bond to be set. He currently, I believe, has that $14,000 bond, as Your Honor indicated. We do understand that there are allegations of drugs, but this seems to have been just an incident where there was a fight around MARTA and then incident to arrest. Some drugs were found on him. I do not believe that they are copious amounts of drugs or anything like that. We would be asking for a reduction on the battery. We would be asking for a UJR on the, I'm sorry, I had it pulled up and then it went, that my page flipped. On the possession of marijuana, we would be asking for a UJR, and then on the 4 controlled substances, we would be asking for a UJR or a $1,000 good bond if Your Honor is not inclined to grant it on those controlled substances.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Okay. The state would request, let's see, 3, yes, $8,000 total. $8,000 total, Your Honor. 3 on the battery, and then 2, 3, 4, and we're making $9,000, then $1,000 on each of the other ones. For
This is
8,000.
9.2 grams of marijuana. So
misdemeanor. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, well, that can be a UJR. And then let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1,000 on each of the other 2, or other 4 rather.
all right. So count 1 UJR through the jail. Count 2, 3, and 4 1,000. Count 5 1,000. Count 6 2,000. 1, 1, 1, 1, and 2. No drugs unless prescribed. No alcohol. No weapons. Let's see. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And sir, you were also told by MARTA when you're arrested there to stay away from MARTA. So you have to stay away from all MARTA properties, including bus stops. Stay away from 41 10th Street in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, I had stay out of Fulton County last year for court or to see your lawyer. No further contact with Maurice, Maurice, last name Leaks, Leeks. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Milton.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bye.
Thank you, Monte Stinson. Thank you, Mr. Stinson. Position 6, Bostic, 22 CP 212972. 259 days without indictment, $7,000 good bond on burglary in the second degree. Free. Rah.
In regards to Mr. Stinson, didn't write down a number. Prior CWAC in 99, aggravated assault in 02, firearm by convicted felon in 14, 1 misdemeanor, 1 arrest for probation violation, 2 for parole violation. Nothing further.
I don't see Miss Clark on here. Anybody covering for Miss Clark?
Your Honor, if I'm able to be put in a breakout room, I can go ahead and cover for Ms. Clark if I can speak with the client.
All right, let's see. Hold on a second. Let's gotta create a breakout room. Let's see. Mr. Stinson, can you raise your hand again so I can see which booth you're in? It's 4 South, booth 3. Let's see. And give us 1 second to get it unmuted. Let's see. Wait. Yeah. Rotation. 4. Come on. Come on. All right. If he's in there, it should be unmuted now. How do I wait? How do I make it go there? All right, go ahead, Miss Eustace. Go back. Now it should get, he should be in there.
I think you'll have to put me back in there, Your Honor.
Well, I only created one. If you go back down to breakout room, you should be able to rejoin.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, yeah, he's in there and he should be unmuted. All right, let's see. What about Kendrick Harper? All right, thank you, Mr. Harper. Position 15, Miss Rosenhoover. 22 CP 213389, 242 days without indictment. Kendrick Harper, receipt, possession, transport of a firearm by a convicted felon, first offender, etc. Willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, reckless conduct. There's a $15,500 good bond as of March the 23rd.
In regards to Harper, 13 prior arrests, 3 arrests for probation violations, 5 misdemeanors, at least 3 felonies, 2 being fired. Aggravated assault, one man aggravated assault and firearm by a convicted felon. He's currently on probation for robbery out of Clayton, sentenced in 2022 for 5 years. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Harper's 32 years old. He's a lifelong Atlanta resident and most of his family does reside here in the area. I was able to verify the address that's on file. If released, he would be staying there with his grandmother, Miss Rena Harper. He made it to the 12th grade and then later earned his GED in 2015. He also completed 2 years of college studying business administration. Most recently for employment, he worked at various gas stations, but he will be seeking employment since he's now been locked up for 242 days without indictment. We have looked at different programs for him, but because of his hold, as you've heard this evening already, that's a huge barrier for our office and for getting our clients where they need to be. At this time, he is unable to post his $15,000 bond. I know it would be a significant reduction, but if the court would be willing to do a similar situation to what we've done with Ms. Eustis's cases, a UJR to hold, or we would be very grateful considering the length of time he has been in. Thank you.
Ms. Houston, did that work?
It did, Your Honor, but he's muted. Is it possible to get his booth unmuted? The thumbs up, thumbs down is a little difficult when I'm asking for an address. Can't get it out of him that way.
Okay, now go back in there. Okay, it should be
Thank
unmuted now. 4 South Booth. All right, should be unmuted. All right, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you, Your Honor. I wish we could agree to that. Talking about Mr. Harper. Yeah, I wish we could agree to your request, Ms. Rosenhoover. Unfortunately, he's got the priors. He was on probation for robbery, and he's got the aggravated assault, gun by convicted felon, 3 probation violations. He's got additional issues. We can consent to a $10,000 bond, but I couldn't consent to UJR to the hold.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with, I'll spell the name, M-A-Z-H-A-R, Siddiqui, S-I-D-D-I-Q-U-I. Let's see, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, any mental health programs. Employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule and the exact location you're going to be working. If picked up on a hold, you have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't come to Fulton County, don't get gas, don't get anything to eat. Straight to court, straight back. Stay away from 3749 Campbellton Road Southwest. Stay away from all Texaco gas stations. Make sure I put everything on there. 5,000, 3,000, and 2,000. 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. Best of luck to you, sir. And I just placed that name in the email to Miss Willis, Kendrick Harper, 242 days.
Thank you, Judge. And that does conclude my business, if I may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening. See you next week.
All right.
All right. Position 4, Zane Tharp. All right. 23 CP 215 612, 152 days without indictment. There's a $7,500 good bond on criminal damage to property in 2nd degree and driving, fleeing, and attempting to elude misdemeanor. Pre-trial.
In regards to Mr. Tharp, 2 prior arrests, other prior arrest was dismissed. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Tharp is 19 years old. He is a lifelong resident of Georgia. He was born and raised here in Atlanta. The address that is on file, oh boy, did I cut out?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The address that is on file is still a good address for him. He lives there with his brother and his dad. He went through the 11th grade at Andrews High School. Prior to his arrest, he was working at Foot Locker as a stock worker, and he had been there for almost a year at that point. And he had also been working as a cook at Burger King. And again, he had been working there for almost a year. We are asking for a bond not to exceed $4,500, Your Honor.
7 North, booth 3. Head up, sit up straight. 7 North, booth 3, sit up straight. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
The state consents, Your Honor. Thank you.
Let's 3,000 and did you say 4,500?
Yes, Your Honor.
And 1,500. 3,000 and 1,500. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical appointments, schools on here also. Must enroll in GED or school. Have to prove that you're enrolled, sir, and that you're actually going. Also employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working, and basic life necessities. No further contact with David Loyola, Loyola. 3,000 and 1,500. Stay away from 3509 Cardinal Drive. And I think I said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lead the booth. Davion Blake.
That concludes my business tonight, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too.
Davion Blake. Oh, thank you, sir. Position 17, Bostic 23, CP 215704. 147 days without indictment, no bond as of March the 29th, 2023. Possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, 2 counts of reckless conduct, 1 count of battery. Pre-trial.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Blake, 11 prior arrests, a couple of open cases, 22 SC 182875, entering auto theft by taking, 23 SC 189, fleeing and eluding theft by receiving 2 counts, obstruction driving with a suspended license, reckless driving, fleeing, firearm during, assigned to Judge McAfee. Nothing further.
Allegedly 3.7 grams of cocaine and 18.1 grams of weed. Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Blake, Judge, and I would sincerely ask the court to consider UJR to the hold per the jail side of Odyssey. There is a hold for Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Judge, I apologize. He's 23 years old, Your Honor, and there's a social worker request in place as well. There is ties to the community, including his the mother of his child and his mother. And Judge, as the court has heard, we are talking about a nonviolent offense with an illegal substance that's alleged in this case. It's a fairly straightforward case, and I believe there's a good address in Lawrenceville, Georgia. We'd ask the court to consider a reasonable bond, UJR to the hold. This is a January case, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
State would request a $15,000 bond on the total, 5 on the 2 reckless conducts and on the battery, and UJR on the cocaine, if that can be done, or whatever the minimum is, and UJR on the marijuana.
Ms. Eustace, are you finished with
Yes, Your Honor, I am done. I actually spoke with Ms. Clark. I'll be covering that, and client has given me permission to cover it as well.
Okay, let's see, back out of there. All right, let's see if we can do this. All right, think that worked. All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 50 Hardwick Street Southeast. No further contact with, I'll spell the first name, Badriyyah, Gilliam, Gilliam. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Also, stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer. Don't come to Fulton County for anything else. Court, see your lawyer. Don't pass go, don't collect $200, all right? Don't stop for gas, don't do anything like that. So we got about 500 UJR jail, 5,000, 5,000, and 5,000. 500 UJR jail, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lead the booth. Deshaun Collins. All right, position 10, Bostic 22 CP 213998. Deshaun Collins, 217 days without indictment, fleeing, attempting to elude a police officer, willful obstruction, reckless driving, driving with suspended license or revoked, failure to maintain or improper lane change. $12,500 good bond as of March the 24th. Pre-trial.
7 prior arrests, took misdemeanor possession of drug-related objects in 2020. Open case 22 SC 183901, criminal damage to property, 2 counts, firearm during 2 counts, reckless Conduct 2 counts in judicial hold, 23 SC 186136, 4 counts of capital offense, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, simple battery, cruelty to the third, firearm drilling. Signed to Judge Donaway. Nothing further.
All right. Anybody covering for Mr. Morrell?
I'll call him, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, sorry, sir. We'll come right back to you as soon as she gets in touch with your lawyer.
Judge, if need be, I can do a breakout session.
All right, well, how about I get yours? Antoinelle Davis, Mr. Davis. Wave your hand if you're Mr. Davis. All right, let's see. Position 12, 23 CP 216651. 111 days without indictment, $15,000 good bond, March the 2nd, for burglary in the second degree. Free trial.
In regards to Mr. Davis, 34 prior arrests, repeat offender, at least 6 felonies going back to the 90s. A couple of burglaries, 2 arrests for probation violations, 6 misdemeanors, 1 being a battery, family violence, and 1 arrest for parole violations. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead,
He
Mr.
has,
Cho.
he has 2 burglaries, sorry.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you use Mr. Davis, there is a bond set, so the law is complied with. Judge, what I'll say in this case is that there is a state board pardon and parole hold visible in jail side Odyssey. We believe the max out date for that will be October of this year. Judge, I will also emphasize in this case that the allegation is that it is a TV in the gym of the apartment complex. The attorney assigned to the case prior to myself, I believe it was Mr. Houston, ordered photographs of the still camera in this case. I'm going to be candid with the court. My judgment on facial recognition should not be trusted, but I did try to match the photographs in the file to the screen, the Brady Bunch screen that we have for everyone displayed in the pods, and I was not able to make a match for whatever that's worth. That being said, Your Honor, we are asking the court to consider a reduction in this case. Mr. Davis is 45. He is the father of 5. His youngest is 17 years old. The other 4 are adults. He'd add up to the 6th grade education, Your Honor, and he does have a good address in the 30310 zip code. He will not be released if the court even grants a UJR. So we are asking the court to consider a reduction, nothing further.
All right, Mr. Malkin.
The state would request that the bond remain the same, given the extensive list and seriousness of the charges that he is facing. The other charges, the state would just ask that these bonds remain the same.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 400 Ralph McGill Boulevard Northeast. No further contact with Maurice Russell Towers, TOWERS. Oh, excuse me. Stay away from Maurice Russell Towers. That's that address at 400 Ralph McGill. No further contact with Latasha, LATASHA. And then last name is SHE.
Sorry, I can't do that.
SHETTERS. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working.
I apologize, Judge. I'm sorry to interrupt. For some reason, I thought we were on Mr. Collins, but we're on Mr. Davis. Is that right?
Right.
Apologies. And what was Mr. Cho requesting?
I would suggest at least a 5K reduction. I don't think I gave an actual number. It's 15 right now.
We would agree to the 10. I apologize, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. $10,000 good bond. Let's see, ankle monitor, name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. Also basic life necessities. $10,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Deputy Malcolm. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. What about Travis Pierre? All right, position 25, 23 CP 216762, 109 days without indictment. There's a $5,000 good bond as of March the 6th on criminal damage to property, 2nd degree, and you'll failure to use the crosswalk. Free trial.
Yes, tomorrow. What I do? Oh, already marked them off. Only prior arrests in Georgia. Florida, he has 10. Capital offense conviction in 06. A CWAC in 2017. Carrying a concealed weapon felony. Old and 3 misdemeanors. Nothing further.
7 North, booth 3. Unless you're getting mad, shut the door, please, sir. 7 North, booth 3. Shut the door and turn around, please, sir. Go ahead, Ms. Correa.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pierre is 42 years old. The address reflected in Odyssey is a good address for him. That is where his sister resides. Additionally, in addition to his sister, also all of his nieces and nephews are here in the metro Atlanta area as well. Although he is originally from Florida, which is why we do have some cycles out of Florida, but he has since, moved to Atlanta. The metro Atlanta area is his home. He has an 11th grade education. At this time, Your Honor, given how long he's been in custody with no indictment, I'm asking Your Honor to consider cutting this bond in half. Thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Malkin.
State consents, Your Honor, even in light of his history.
Thank you, Mr. Malkin.
All right. 2,000 on count 1, UJR count 2. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Subway restaurants. Stay away from 50 Upper Alabama Street. That's 2,000 and UJR. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Isaiah Polite. All right. Number 3, Bostic, 23 CP 215536, 153 days without indictment. There's a $20,000 good bond as of March the 16th. Possession of tools for a crime, 2 counts of entering auto with intent to commit a theft or a felony, and misdemeanor possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Pre-trial.
6 prior arrests. 19 SC 166971, robbery, aggravated assault, 2 counts, hijacking, sentence 12/20/2022, 1 year confinement, 4 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Collins.
Yes, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Polite. He's been incarcerated now for 153 days. His bond is currently 20,000. He's not able to make that bond, and so we're asking if you would consider a reduction in his bond today. Your Honor, he is 22 years old. He's lived in Georgia his entire life. He does have family here in Georgia. His sister and his aunt, I have been in touch with his sister, and she is unable to afford the $20,000 bond or to assist him with it. And so that's one of the reasons we're asking for a reduction. Also, just given his lack of financial resources, he has been in custody since the start of this year, and he hasn't been able to work to obtain any income to put towards a $20,000 bond. He was previously working in the construction industry. He's been in that line of work for 4 years, and he believes that he will have a job once he's released. He's living with his aunt, Miss Angela Brown, in Lithonia, Georgia, which should be the address on file, the Rocky Pine Drive address. Your Honor, we're asking if you'd consider a reduction to 5,000 total. I guess our recommendation of the breakdown would be if we could do 1 on count 1 and 2 on counts 2 and 3. Regarding counts 4, that's a misdemeanor marijuana possession. It's my understanding that the GBI isn't even testing misdemeanor amounts of marijuana. And so, Your Honor, we'd ask if you would consider a UJR on that count.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Your Honor, the state would request that the bond remain the same, given that he is on probation and under sentence for robbery and aggravated assault, multiple counts, and possession of a gun during commission of a felony. Sentenced as a first offender, which meant that he promised the judge that the judge wouldn't see him again in this sort of situation. So we're asking that the bond remain the same.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with Christopher Reed, Melanie Dukes. Stay away from your code. No further contact with your co-defendants. Ladarius, Ladarious, Jamal, Jamall, Vaughn, Vaughn. And 1 second. Oh, this pulls up. Sorry, just gotta get this address. He's living in Lithonia, right? Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. No other reason to come to Fulton County. No gas, no snacks. Throw snacks in your car. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working, and also basic life necessities. Do you have children, Ms. Collins?
No children, Your Honor.
Okay, basic life necessities. You're gonna live with your aunt. I'm not sure how old she is, but if she needs help, you can help her. And stay away from 15 Hilliard, Hillard Street, 15 Hilliard Street. I'll do 3,000, 5,000, 5,000 UJR jail, 355 UJR jail. Best of luck to you, sir. Let's
That
see.
concludes my business. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you. You too.
All right, Monte Stinson, Mr. Stinson. All right, this is back to number 6, Miss Eustace. Thank you for handling this. 22 CP 212972, 259 days without indictment, burglary in the second degree. There is a $7,000 good bond. Pre-trial.
Okay. The old CWET, aggravated assault no 2, firearm by. In 2014, a misdemeanor, 1 arrest for probation violation, 1 for parole, 2 for parole violation, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Miss Eustace.
Yes, Your Honor. The client has been in custody since October of last year. It looks as though he has only had 1 reduction since then, back in January. So he has been on this bond for about 6 months at this time. He is 40 years old and does have a good address on file. I can send it to both you and Ms. Robinson. I know that on his booking screen, it said he was residentially challenged. However, he is not. He does have a good address. He, previous to his arrest, was working for an emission company for about 5 years. However, he said he can easily find a job within being released, and does also think that he could go back to that job that he was working at before. He does anticipate that his job currently that he could try to go to or would try to find would be in Fulton County. The address that I will provide is technically Stone Mountain. I know, Your Honor, sometimes if the address is not in Fulton, you ask people to stay out, but most of his job opportunities and connections that he has is in Fulton County. He can stay away from the training facility where this occurred. This was an allegation from the APS training facility grounds. I will note that the warrant does say that everything was recovered. So Mr. Stinson did not take anything away that was not recovered when he was arrested. So we would be asking for a notable reduction in this bond. He is of limited means. If Your Honor is not inclined to grant the UJR due to his history, we would be asking for a $3,000 good bond or no more than $5,000 so we could try to get him submitted to the bail project. Over 260 days in custody is quite a long time, and he's been taken away from work opportunities, and people's lives changed drastically with 260 plus days in custody.
All right, Mr. Malkin.
Your Honor, I was going to ask for 5, and so I don't mind splitting the difference at 4.
All right. $4,000 good bond. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 433 People Street, Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. Stay away from all Atlanta public school buildings and campuses. Let's see, got to provide an address, which you have before you're released into the clerk's office. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, exact location you'll be working. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court, see your lawyer, or if you get a job here. Only way you can come back, court, lawyer, or you get a job here. Never mind. Let's make it a $3,000 good bond, 259 days. $3,000 good bond, Miss Tracy. Sorry about that. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lay
Your
the
Honor, I
boot.
did put that address into the chat to Ms. Robinson, but I can go ahead and also file the appropriate order changing his
Okay.
bond as well.
All right, thank you. Anybody get in touch with Mr. Morrell? Oh, you're Mr. Morrell? Okay. All right, Mr. Collins. All right, this is position 10. Did you need to talk to him or did you talk to Mr. Morrell enough?
Judge, if you would look at the jail side odyssey, Deputy Malkin, if you would as well, there are some other major pressing issues for Mr. Collins, and I'm comfortable to go forward. Mr. Collins, is it okay if I address bond for you today and ask the judge to grant you a reasonable bond? Okay, he is nodding his head for the record.
Okay. All right, this is position 10, 22 CP 213998 Deshaun Collins, 217 days without indictment. Willful obstruction of a willful obstruction of a police officer, fleeing, attempting to elude, reckless driving, driving license suspended or revoked, and failure to maintain a lane. I'm pulling that up. Pre-trial.
Yeah, I read his history. He has the capital offense for account signed to Judge Dunaway, 7 prior arrests.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Collins, Your Honor. This incident is from 2020, Judge, and I'm not going to fuss at ADA Malkin for the one and only time. Based on the length of delay, I think that there are bigger fish to fry in this case, honestly. Mr. Collins is 24. He's a lifelong resident of the Metro Atlanta area, having a address in Stone Mountain, Georgia, as well as an alternative in Lithonia, Georgia. He's a high school graduate. Previous to his incarceration, he was working at Amazon doing packaging work. And Your Honor, my understanding that my client denies the allegations in this case specifically, that I believe, based on the reading of the warrant, that there may not have been actual custodial contact made on the day of the incident. And so it's my belief that this was an arrest subsequent to the issue of the warrant being issued. My client denies the incident as it is related, and he was not the driver at the time. So, Judge, there may be a possible affirmative defense in the future of an alibi. Judge, we would recommend a nominal bond. I don't believe that there will be a bond for the other charges. We will defer to the court, of course, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor. And this is the case that I made the mistake on. I thought we were on before when I corrected it. But Mr. Collins does have the numerous other charges that he's facing, very serious charges, the capital offense. And the allegations in this case are that he engaged in dangerous conduct that placed the public and other people at risk as well. And so therefore, the state is requesting that the bond remain the same in this case at $12,500. Thank you.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, or any mental health program, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle if you're released from any hold, if you have any holds. Let's see, stay out of Fulton County except for court and to see your lawyer. No driving unless you have a valid license. We'll do 4,000, 4,000, 1,000, 1,000, and 250. 4,000, 4,000, 1,000, 1,000, 250. But you still have no bond on the other case, sir. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, I think that's it, right?